What's going on?
What's going on? It's
We
Sunday.
back in the lab.
It's Sunday. You know what it is. Another episode of the Football Friend of Mine podcast. Before we get started, man, you know what it is. Get you some merch. I got the first official shirt, man. I was wondering what it would turn out like. But get you some merch, man. Man, we got our store going up, man, or up right now, man. So, but like I said, welcome to another episode of the Football Friend of Mine podcast, man. I'm Cam. That is Brandon. We love doing this. But before we get started, man, we got a big show today. Before we get started, man, how you doing?
We back in the lab. It's another
Yes,
big show today, man. If you guys didn't watch the last episode, definitely go check it out. We did a big time SEC breakdown, the best conference in college football. Okay. Today is going to be even crazier. So you guys strap up, get ready, because the Big 10 is in the house, and we about to have a really good breakdown, really good discussion. Hope you guys got plenty of comments, man. Would love to see your feedback, man. We maybe ask you guys some questions throughout everything, get some good things going between us.
Yeah, man. Nah, we are definitely looking forward to the feedback we get today. Like I said, we're doing our preseason breakdown of all of the conferences, at least the major ones, in college football. We may touch on one group of five because there's a lot of them, but we might do one, or we might just do a show about the group of five teams before we get into our award picks and then college football playoffs. So it might be all one big smorgasbord of an episode of a big group of five, our postseason picks and things like that. So award picks before we shift to the NFL. So we'll see how it goes, man. But like I said, man, Brandon is correct. We are doing the Big 10, the new Big 10, actually, because the Big 10 that we knew growing up is definitely not the same Big 10, you know. So, but we like to start off the show with some news, man. What's some news, man? As soon as I can find this thing, man. All right, yeah, we want to start off the show with some news, man. So. I thought this was pretty cool to talk about, man. Let it pop up so you know what's up. We're gonna start off with some crazy news. Well, not crazy news, but I want to talk about this, man, because we haven't really touched on recruiting, man. So pop up on the screen if you're watching, man. These are the top five recruiting rankings, man. Let me move this thing out the way up here just for the time being, because it's in the way. All right, there we go. Okay, so these are the top five rankings, man. Take a look, man. It's pretty cool to see. Ohio State has a lot of 5-star recruits, man. A lot. They have a lot of 5-star recruits, man. At least 2 or 3 out of the top 10. So they're pretty good. I think Alabama is coming on strong. After picking up a few recruits to start off July. I thought that was pretty cool, man. But your LSU Tigers are right there. I think they dropped a little bit because of the commitment I wanted to talk to you about. Um, so we know in the offseason that Oregon picked up DeCorian Moore from Duncanville High School in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So no, not in the offseason. I mean, Oregon picked up Evan Stewart in the
Yeah.
offseason, right? So we know that. So now they picked up DeCorian
Yeah.
Moore
He was
uh,
originally committed to.
to LSU, right?
Yeah.
So like I said, here's a picture of him, Flossin Dawson. He's excited. We're excited for him. I think he's gonna do wonders, man. So I just want to know what's your thoughts on when he initially committed to LSU. What did you think about?
So
Yeah,
the crazy thing about the timing was DeCorian Moore was. We had the top. This is 2025's recruiting class as well. We had the number one quarterback in Bryce Underwood. We had the number one running back. I'm drawing a blank on his name. And then we had DeCorian Moore. They all committed pretty close in timing. And I'm like, man, like that's going to shoot us right up to the top three, if not higher, just off of that star power by itself. And for a long time, I felt like, okay, like we're going to retain at least these three guys for sure. And when he decommitted, he had Oregon on his list. He still had LSU on his list. I was
yeah,
surprised to see him go to Oregon. Like Oregon's got Dan Lanning's got something really big going. But me
yeah.
personally, I don't know if it was competition or like quarterbacks. LSU's done really good at recruiting quarterbacks, at least like coming into this year, man. They got Colin Hurley coming, they got Bryce Underwood. There's another guy we have as well. Oregon's really good. I hate to see him go. I hate to see him go, especially. I'm not even. I'm glad he didn't stay in the conference, so I'm not gonna say that. But yeah, DeCorian Moore is really good, man. I think he'll excel in a wide open, fast paced offense that Oregon likes to run. Although I think that he would have been a better fit with us. I think he's still gonna have a
Yeah.
really big impact in the Big 10, though.
Yeah, I mean he's big time, man. He's a big time player, man. I watched some of his highlights, man, and being in Texas, Duncanville is one of those schools that
Mm-hmm.
dominates the state pretty much every year,
Yep.
So they've been pretty good in the last, 10 years or so, having really good players come out of there. So they're the school that's really hot right now. So they got a lot of good players coming from there. So my initial thought, I was like, man, Oregon? I was like, okay, I see it, but I think it's really cool because Oregon now gets a bigger stage, the Pac 12, which has officially been deceased now. Um, I think it's a big stage for them, going to the Big 10. I think
Mm-hmm.
you have a chance for them to expand on their already big brand because you got Nike in the backyard. They got countless uniform concepts, man. So it's a bigger brand, and I think it'll work well. That's one of the teams that I think is going to benefit from this move. Like, I don't think
Definitely.
USC is already a big brand. They can naturally recruit anywhere. UCLA is kind of the same thing. They're worldwide known as a school. So they don't really need too much. I think this is more of a money grab for them. But what's the other school? Washington. I think this might be a little bit too much for them, at least at first. At least at
Mm-hmm.
first. I think they'll figure it out as it
They're in
goes.
rebuild mode, so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's the only team that I'm like, I would say, yeah, you know. So, but what else do you think about the recruiting rankings, man? You surprised any team up there? I'm surprised at Georgia being 5. I thought they would be a little higher.
I thought that Georgia was top three, especially with the way Kirby's been. Yeah, I just feel like they've been getting everybody. They've been getting a lot of really good guys. Not necessarily just 5 stars, but like really good 4 stars too. Like they're always hot in the recruiting trail. So I was very surprised to see them that far back. I knew that Oregon was somewhere in there. I didn't think Oregon had jumped up like above Georgia though. I thought for sure there was going to be at least, I didn't know the order, but at least Ohio State, Bama, LSU, Georgia. I figured that was like the first four in no specific order. I didn't think Oregon was going to jump over them.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. I was thinking Georgia would be a lot higher too, man. But that's all right, man. Like I said, Bama's been Bama's been coming on strong of lately. They have he picked up a couple of 4 and 5 stars, man. Just because, man, like the discourse coming out of the last weekend or 4th of July weekend was when people came on those visits, those official visits, like they came away blown away. Like some really fast commits. Like
Mm-hmm.
usually you don't get commits on the trip, but there was a
It's
lot of
after.
people. Yeah, but they were getting commitments within the trip. So I was like, yo, this whole thing about Kalen DeBoer not being able to recruit,
Nah, he
it
can
has to go
recruit, bro.
out the window.
He
Has
can
to go out the
recruit.
window. Yeah, So just closing up on our news, man. Something that I forgot to add, man. Yeah. We doing this live, so I'm adding stuff to it, man. So we can't go into the next segment without saying rest in peace to Kyrie Jackson, man.
Mm-hmm.
Sad, man. He played at Oregon and Alabama. I think he was a JUCO guy or something like that. But it was sad to hear that, man. Passed away in a car accident. It was actually 2 other people in the car too, and the news is that he was actually not driving. And the person that hit him, there's some rumors going around that
Drunk.
alcohol was involved.
Mm-hmm.
So man, we just want to send our prayers and condolences to all the family and friends and people that are close to them, all the people that lost their lives, man. But
Mm-hmm.
specifically, Kyrie Jackson, man, getting drafted by the Vikings, man, probably going to be a very, very big contributor to them on a defense that really needed help in the secondary. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a big loss for them, big loss for everybody in the football community because he was definitely going to be a good guy, man. So I was hurt when he transferred to Oregon because I felt like he was going to be a big piece for us. But he actually did some good things for Oregon, which helped him get drafted relatively higher than he was had he probably stayed at Bama. So, like I said, man, condolences and prayers to Kyrie Jackson. It's probably a tough time for everybody, man, involved. So, just wanted to give that some shine, man, because that was tough to wake up to, especially considering he just got drafted, So, but yeah, man. So, before we get started, man, y'all know the drill, man. Run those likes up, give us a like, subscribe. All our socials are at the bottom, man. But I've wasted enough time talking. It's time to get into this Big 10 breakdown. There we go, man. So, all right. So I'm gonna let you lead off, and I want to start with the conference champion. We do this every year. We start with the conference champion and we work our way down, not in order specifically, well, at least at the top. So I want to know what you think about this team who won the conference last year, also national champions. Let's talk about Michigan, man. So you see on the screen, they're now defending national champions, Big 10 champions, owners of a 3-0 streak against Ohio State. Hasn't happened in a very long time. But I'll let you talk about Michigan coming into this season.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, like he said, Michigan won a national championship. Harbaugh,
Boom.
it was time for Harbaugh to finally leave the college ranks. Got a really good coaching gig with the LA Chargers. Kudos to him. Gets one of his assistant coaches, promoted to head coach, who I think he did a really good job as interim head coach last year while Harbaugh was gone. It does
You
suck
did.
that it sucks that you lose Corum. It sucks that you lose McCarthy. You still have some really good depth on offense, and their defense is still really freaking good. Michigan's
I agree.
always like, I don't think they're gonna really skip a beat. I want to see what they're gonna be able to do offensively. I forget exactly who their quarterback is gonna be this year.
Yeah, I
But they're
forgot
still
actually.
they're still ultra talented, especially at running back as well. And
Yeah.
dude, on both sides of the ball, on the offensive defensive linemen, they're gonna do what they have to do. Jim Harbaugh did a really good job of securing both of those units for sure. I
Yeah.
think Michigan's still gonna be in a really good place, man. I don't see them changing a whole lot of things up. I can't imagine them running much of a different offense, and I know they're gonna probably keep the exact same defense they had been running since he had been there. Michigan's still going to be a powerhouse in the Big Ten. But I will be honest, now that you do add an Oregon with a Dylan Gabriel in there, you have an Ohio State with a Will Howard there, and you have some of these other teams that I feel got really better in the Big Ten. I don't think it's as cut dry like as it was. I still think they're definitely in the conversation to win back-to-back conference championships. They're not unfavored in my opinion, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like it'll be as easy of a road. And I want to say a lot of people last year were talking about how easy their schedule was outside of like Ohio State and some other teams. I think Michigan's going to have a little bit of a harder trip there, although I think they're still going to probably find themselves back in the conference championship picture for sure.
Nah, man. I think Michigan is in a good spot, man. I do believe that gosh, what's his name? Coach Sharon. I think he'll
Mm-hmm.
be really good. He got the job anyway. Excuse me. He got the job anyway because he did a really good job in interim duties.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that really, really cool. Obviously, like I said, I want to see more minorities get big jobs like this. I don't want them relegated to the, I hate to say it, but Boise States of the world or the Tulanes, the jobs that are harder to fix, the Kansas of the world, the jobs that are harder to fix,
Mm-hmm.
and they finally get the ball rolling, and then they get the axe, and then it's like, oh, hey, guess what? Now we're really good, but then they don't want to give the credit where it deserves, man. So I really like the opportunity that Michigan has given him, and I think he's in a good spot, man. So the thing about him is recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
The message that Harbaugh would send in these recruiting trips seems like that he really could get these guys to sign over the course of his whole time at Michigan. He could just steal recruits. You had the satellite camp thing. Remember that? Nick Saban
Mm-hmm.
was so mad about that. Like, oh, you can't do this. Like, who said you can't? So it's like, bro, it was so funny, man. Harbaugh really did a good job there. So I want to make sure that Sharon can keep those inroads in recruiting really
Mm-hmm.
strong. So that will be the case in like 2 or 3 years. If you see
Yeah,
them
they're really
drop,
gonna tell. Yeah.
yeah, if you see them drop in like skill players, because I think
Then
the
you.
big
Yeah.
guys are gonna be there, right?
Oh yeah.
But the skill
Definitely.
guys are the ones that are kind of hard to get, at least difference makers anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man. I find that really interesting, man. But I think they'll be good, man. So obviously in this conference they have two divisions. So let's talk about the other division winner in that conference, man. Let's talk about the Iowa Hawkeyes, man. Um, really, really solid season for them. Obviously, they are a defensive stalwart team. I think they are a team that is confusing because they have really good defense, but they ain't scoring nothing.
They got the
Zero.
opposite of Lincoln Riley. It's literally the
Yeah,
opposite.
yeah, man. Yeah. Well, they're also an interesting team as well because in a world where coaches get fired left and right, Kurt Ferentz has been there for almost 20 years.
It is pretty crazy when you think about it.
And the crazier part is they haven't been terrible. Like they've
No.
always been 8, 9 wins, and then boom, they win like 13. And
Mm-hmm.
then 8, 9, maybe 6. Then boom, they win 13, or they win a couple of division titles, things like that, right? I find that really, really, really cool, man. That he's been able to stay at this school that long, man. I think it's really awesome. And I think they'll be all right, man. They're just in a spot, or they're just in in a state that's hard to recruit in, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of parties do you really have in Iowa, man?
You don't.
What kind of parties do
You
you have
don't.
in what kind of parties do you have in Iowa? What
You
kind
don't.
of recruiting pitches do you have in Iowa, man? I mean,
That's a
you got you got a historic football team there, right? But that's the only team for a while, man. You got to go, like, it's tough, man. It's a tough spot to recruit in. But you know what? The players that they do get are really, really bought into what Iowa is, man.
mm-hmm.
So I think these are players that may not have gotten looked at much by, like, let's say a Midwest school like Ohio State or Mizzou or Kansas or whatever, and then they like, oh man, I got a scholarship, man. I'm going to college to play football. When you get like a bunch of guys like that, that's how you get a Big 10 West, I think, championship, man. And you just keep building and building and building. And I think Kurt France is so good that he has been able to kind of all his players just bring down, they give back to the younger class. So when you come in, by the time you're a senior, you're bought into Iowa football. And I think that's why, they've been so good, man. I think they need to work on offense or at least get somebody in there that can fix it. But I think they'll be good. Now, are they going to repeat as Big West champions? I don't think so because they got a lot of talent in this conference this year. But it was still good to see them do that. Obviously, they took a loss in the bowl game, didn't score any points against Tennessee, a team that is actually inverse to them and scores a lot of offensive points. So that was rough, definitely rough, man. But I think they'll be all right. So the next team on this list, I think you'll have a lot to say about this team. Um, let's just get into it. We got
Choo.
Ohio State, man. Ohio State. So I'm gonna let you break down Ohio State, man. What you thinking about that?
Cool. So before I get into this, you guys leave some comments. Who do you guys think is going to win the Big Ten this year? Doesn't matter who. Do you think it's a stretch? Whatever. Leave some comments. We're going to go over and see what you guys' thoughts were.
Yeah.
But in regards to Ohio State, man, I think Ohio State got really better. You definitely improved at the quarterback position. You obviously parted ways with Kyle McCord. He transfers out to Syracuse. You get a guy in Will Howard that I think has a lot to prove. Obviously not a scrub at all for Kansas State. Really had Kansas State in a pretty good place in the Big 12, but he finally gets a spot where he's
Yeah.
got loaded talent around him at the
Yeah.
receiver position, a solid offensive line,
Yeah.
and a
I like
really
that.
good run game. Will Howard can spin it. Nobody talks about Will Howard, but I'm telling you, he's got a lot to prove. He wants to prove a lot of those doubters wrong, man. He's got a stud at running back, Judkins, who transferred in from Ole Miss. They are loaded at receiver. It's insane. All they needed was no disrespect to Kyle McCord, but he's not Will Howard.
No, no, no,
Telling
no,
you,
no.
telling you, and
He
Ohio
ain't Will
State got
Howard,
better.
bro.
Ohio State has been killing it with transfers. They have been killing it in recruiting. They got better on defense. Look, dude, this is the year for Ohio State to stunt. Like, they need to end this streak against Michigan. And I feel like if there's going to be a year to do it, this has to be your year. Because I want to say
Yeah,
this is
I
like Will
agree.
Howard's, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I want to say this is Will Howard's last year of eligibility. Don't quote me. I might be wrong.
It should
But,
be.
dude, but yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
Uh, that team is loaded. Like, this team has to be a playoff team. Like,
Yeah.
if Ryan Day does not beat Michigan and they miss the playoffs, he's not in the hot seat, but I don't think it's going to be a pleasant conversation though. But I think Ohio State's going to be really good, man. Like, all they did was get better. Like, they got a lot of really good name in the transfer portal. They've done really, obviously you've seen in recruiting, man, they're right at the top, got a bunch of 5-star guys, a bunch of really good 4-star and 3-star guys. Dude, they
Yeah.
stacked up. Like, they filled that
Yeah.
refrigerator with talent, bro. Like, they're not gonna have any problem if somebody goes down this year. They did really good at filling any holes they had with starters. You filled the most important position at quarterback, man. I think Ryan Day's a really good head coach, and I think this is his year to really kind of silence a lot, just like his quarterback. I think this is his year to kind of silence a lot of the doubters wrong, especially coming into a year where you get a team like USC that's probably going to be better. You get a team like Oregon who's going to be loaded as well, and we'll get into them. I think Ohio State's in a really good place to make a really good playoff push this year. I don't know if national championship, but Ohio State's definitely in the conversation, and I could realistically see them beating Michigan this year just off of sheer talent alone that they've acquired over the offseason.
I can agree with you, man. Before I get into my pushback, man, we got some Sparks in there. Comments, I mean. What's up, Sparks, man? What's good, Sparks? Hope you're doing well, man. Enjoying your Sunday, man. An interesting comment here. 4 Big Ten teams will get into playoffs, man, and Ohio State is one of them.
I like the comment.
I personally agree with you,
I can
Mr.
see it.
Andrew Anderson. I do. I think I've been on record saying that the SEC and the Big Ten are going to get at least 8 teams into the playoff, right? So we got 12 spots. That's 8. There's only 4 more left. There's only 4 more left. I ain't good at math, but I know that. There's only 4 more teams left. And you telling me that Tulane or Texas State or whatever is going to get in there. I mean, maybe one of them.
Yeah.
But then you got an ACC team, the champion possibly. And
Big
then
12.
You got the Big 12 champion in there, you know. So where do they slide in there, man? So then you got Notre Dame, who's not in a conference, but if they go
Notre Dame's
undefeated,
gonna make it more. Yep, they're gonna more than likely make it too, depending on how the season goes. Yeah,
that's all I'm saying, man. So the group of 5, all of these teams, we're gonna be in the same situation we was last year. Somebody's gonna be mad. Again. Yeah, somebody is going to be mad at the end of this journey, because you know they're not gonna get in. Now we're not gonna get Florida State undefeated not in, right? Because I think that was a big. I'm not gonna say it was a travesty, but I do think that if they would have expanded like they were supposed to that offseason, I think we wouldn't have had this problem, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I hate the fact that they put the stipulation in there about injuries, but it is. And I told y'all last episode, money is the issue. Okay? If Jalen Milroe is at full strength and God, what's the guy's name for Florida State? I forgot his name.
Jordan Travis.
Jordan Travis, there we go. And he's hurt. What money does Florida State bring to the table? None. I'm sorry, they played a great game against Louisville last year, right? A great defensive game, but you gotta score points. That team couldn't do nothing offensively.
Not without him running the offense.
I'm not even talking about Florida State. I'm talking about Louisville. They couldn't do nothing, and then Florida State decided, okay, well, we can't do anything either. So let's just do a Wildcat quarterback. Do you really think that you were going to beat someone else with that all game? I don't think so. And their backup, I think, got hurt too. So they were down to their 3rd string guy. So, I mean, look, it just wouldn't work out, man. But we got another comment here, man. 2 ACC teams and 1 group of 5. Okay. I can see that.
I could see. Depending on how the ACC ships out, because I mean they added some teams too. I mean Florida State's still in the conversation right there. You're expecting Clemson to shake back; they're still in there. I mean Miami's possibly expected to be like Cam Ward, and not to mention like I was saying, Florida State they did bring DJU in. The ACC is going to be interesting. I don't see them getting more than 2 teams though. Max 2 teams. Yeah. Just say for instance you get freaking. Just say, for instance, I don't know exactly how everything works, but say the Big Ten gets 4 in, what's it called? The Big Ten gets 4 in, the SEC gets 4 in. You're looking at probably Florida State, probably Miami, maybe just out of guessing. You're probably going to have Notre Dame in there as an independent, and you might get lucky. Oh, that's a hot take.
Yeah, man, it's a hot take, man.
It's a hot
Andrew
take.
Anderson, man, I appreciate
We
the
love this
feedback,
feedback.
man, the engagement, man. I like. I don't know, man. Florida State is still a brand, man, and if they
Yeah.
win some games, man, they gonna get in. I think their biggest thing is Clemson and
Mm-hmm.
Miami. I think those are
Yeah.
the schools that need to be talked about enough. And I think they're gonna be tough to beat. But I think Clemson, which was one of my teams last year, that just got smashed. My whole pick got smashed week one against Duke. So but I think they finally need to figure out how to play with Cade Klubnik. I really like him a lot. But like I said, this is I can't get into ACC right now. It was a Big Ten breakdown, man. Big Ten breakdown, man. But you know where you can get more college football content, man. I
College
think
football dogs.
there you go, college football dogs, man. We'll be back after this commercial break.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12 plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
Yeah, man, college football dogs, we back. We back. Join the revolution of sports media, man. It's an exciting time to be a part of this organization, man. Got some really good guys, got some really good ladies all over the place doing great work through all sports media. We're talking podcasts, we're talking sports writing, we're talking management, doing a really good job, man. So back to the breakdown, man. Let's see, we got some more, man. One more thing, couple more
Ooh.
ACC much better. Depends on where you look at it, man. I don't know. I think it's pretty even, dog. I mean, maybe at the top, you got some heavy hitters, but as far as the conference as a whole, I don't think it's much better if we're talking big picture. I mean, you only got a couple teams at the top, but the Big 12 to me is like really good all together. I think that's the conference that's going to be shafted in this 12 team because everybody's going to beat everybody. It's not going to be one of those conferences that one person wins. They're just going to beat somebody and then somebody's going to rise to the top at the end. But it's going to be a ugly fest. So, and then Clemson will be in the playoffs, but screw Clemson. Man, I say the
Yeah.
same thing. I don't like
Yeah.
Clemson at all, especially Hunter Renfro. I don't like him at all. So, yeah, take that. So, but yeah, man. I don't know. We'll see, man. Clemson's good. I don't like Clemson, no, man. I really don't, man. But let's get into the next team on our list, man. One team that we love to talk about and we love to wonder why it doesn't work. Let's talk Penn State, bro. Okay. So, oh my bad. I got it. All right. So, what's up?
The top right hand corner, the logo.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah. I just caught it.
All right, I got you.
Yeah.
All right,
There we
how
go.
about
Balls
that?
up. All right.
Balls
Yeah.
up.
There
All
we
right,
go.
cool, gotcha. All right, so Penn State, man. Penn State's one of those schools, man, that you look at and you are interested in what they can do, man. I think we all know, all college football fans know, the hardship that they had after Joe Paterno left. right? Won't get into the details, but if you know, you know, right? And after that was pretty rough. Um, Bill O'Brien restored the feeling a little bit, and you started to feel better about Penn State, and then they got James Franklin from Vandy, and I think it's been pretty good, man. He's got at least one Big Ten championship. I think at least one. Because he got to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, they got there, but I don't know if they won the Big Ten though.
I don't know. I don't know.
They were right there, if not like no disrespect.
Excuse me. But I think I mean they went to the Rose Bowl that year one time, which is you only get there if you win the Big Ten, or at least the top rated team that's not in the college football playoff or something like that.
Maybe.
But I don't know. But the main thing about Penn State is that they have all the talent, man. But it feels like they're stuck in a ceiling. They can't get through it, man. They can't get into the Michigan range. They can't get into the Ohio State range, man. They can't break into the college football playoff range, man. They win the games that they're supposed to, but they lose the games that they are supposed to lose. They need to win those games. Yep. And that's the only problem, man. I can't believe I'm saying this, but James Franklin has been at Penn State for 10 years now.
That's crazy. That feels like a couple of years ago that Bill O'Brien was over there, but apparently it's been a little bit longer than that.
10 years. He's been there like 10 years. I think he's coming into his 10th season, man. So the fact that he's done a lot of good there over this time, man, I think they're a quarterback away. I mean, and I think
they got a guy.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see what they can do. Because there's like I said, the Big Ten is different now. So it's not one of the conferences that we know, right? I think they're a quarterback away. But we'll see. I don't know. But what you think about the Penn State, man?
So Penn State's in an interesting spot. Okay, well, OSU, Oregon, Penn State, and who else? Not Nebraska. I do like their true freshman quarterback, though. He is a beast. Was that right?
We get into that. We get into that.
We will. I got excited. Okay.
We get into that.
But if we're talking about Penn State, they're in an interesting spot because now you're in a Big Ten where I want to say they did away with divisions. So you're not doing East and West and all that kind of stuff anymore because the conference has gotten so vast now. Penn State's got a really good football team, man. They usually do. They're bringing Drew Aller back again. I think that he's going to be even better. A lot of people have him as a possible Heisman candidate. I don't know if I'm there yet on him. But he isn't a bad quarterback nonetheless. He is a playmaker. He can make plays for your team and put your team in positions to win. Penn State always recruits really well, man. They're really talented. The big thing is you have to beat one of those teams. I look at it like this. There's this house. And Penn State is getting to the ceiling of this house. And on the top of this house is Ohio State and Michigan. You have to break through that ceiling and beat one of those two teams. Because Penn State is a team that likes stability and consistency. But there's got to be a line in the sand at some point. You have to beat one of these two teams, and you need to do it you need to do it sooner rather than later. Not saying his job's on the line at all, because he's not doing a bad job at all. But, dude, Penn State is such a prestigious university with rich history in its football program. I mean, they have 2 or 3 national championships.
Yeah.
Great history, man. Really great environment. One of the most hostile stadiums in college football. They got to get it done. They're really talented, man. I feel like this is another situation like if there's going to be a year that you're going to spoil one of those teams' shot, it's got to be this year. Like you have to take that step, in my opinion. I know it's a new conference, but there's a lot of unknown now that you've added these teams. So there could be some teams dropping some games that they're not supposed to, which could play into Penn State's favor, or it could play into their demise. I don't know, but I need to see them make another step this year. Can they? Yes, but some of these new teams could get in Penn State's way of doing those, depending on the way the schedule falls, and obviously injuries and win streaks and stuff like that. But I think Penn State's due for a good year. My question is, what's going to be the definition of a really good year for them? Are they going to finally break through and beat one of those two teams, or are we just going to ride into consistency and just skate by just beating everybody else and losing the games they can't afford to lose, man? It's like when they lose to teams that they should have no business losing to. Yeah, you're going to lose to Ohio State, Michigan, but you're losing to teams in the conference that you shouldn't even be losing to. You shouldn't be losing to Iowa. You shouldn't even be in a conversation with Illinois, Purdue, any of those teams. You're way more talented. Now, obviously, you don't add these new teams, but, dude, you're so much more talented than anybody else outside of those two teams. So Penn State has no excuse. Like, you have to make that step this year. You need to beat one of those two teams. That's all there is to it.
No, man, I agree, man. That's the only thing. They got to get through this glass ceiling, man. So you mentioned Nebraska's quarterback. That's the team that's next, man. So if you know anything about Nebraska, man, they were the team to beat in the 90s. It's not even close. Everybody wanted to beat them. People stole their ideas, how they train, everything, man. So it's even been studied how their players played so well, you know. Then they just fell on tough times, man. Times change, people steal players, things like that, man. So, but you know, last season, well, not last season, the season before last, right? The coach that they had was Scott Frost, right? Before we get into what we are now, right? Scott Frost was a Nebraska guy. He was brought in because he played there, won national championships there, knew what it meant, right? And they would seem to lose all the games that they were close in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as I mentioned, I think off air, that the finger begins to be pointed from the players, you know, to the coach, you know. If you keep losing these games, right? You think, oh man, we just gotta be tougher. We gotta get the fourth quarter program like Bama. We need to do this, that, and the third. No, it's pointed at you because maybe you're not understanding what's going on. Maybe it's play calling, situational play calling. You're not making the right decisions, right? And that's why Scott Frost was up out of there, you know? So now we shift into Matt Rule. Matt Rule was at Baylor, and he left Baylor in a better place than he found it. Temple. He found Temple in a shamble situation and left it in a better place than he found it, right? He took the job in the NFL, but like I said, the NFL is a tough thing to crack because you're not really in charge of your own destiny. The owner and GM are. So if they don't get you the players, they don't spend the money on the players, guess what? They don't invest in the scouting department, guess what? Your job is in a shambles. But even then, even with all of those things going Matt Rule, he still ended up almost making the playoffs with PJ Walker at quarterback. And when I say they were a what's the receiver's name? Moore. What's his last name?
Yeah, DJ Moore.
They are an excessive celebration penalty away from probably making the playoffs from DJ Moore. Because PJ Walker threw a game-winning touchdown, but they had to go back on the kick and they missed it. So there you go. You know, but if you just look at that sample size from that season where the NFC South was really bad, and you could win that with a losing record, right? He left Carolina in a better place than he found it. And they got rid of him. So what, right? And he's okay. He's all right. He admitted that, hey, I got fired, whatever. But now he comes to Nebraska. No, I'm long-winded here, but here's my point. He comes to Nebraska and has already left it better than he found it. So I expect Nebraska to eclipse 5 wins this year. I expect them to get at least 6 or 7. And he's making inroads in recruiting, man. Okay? You talked about their 5-star quarterback, right? He was
Raiola.
committed, yeah, right. Dylan Raiola. He was committed to
Choo!
Georgia.
That's a bad
With
man.
like he was committed to Georgia, and I thought it was a slam dunk. I thought it was. I'm thinking, all right, cool. Going to Georgia. I don't want to see him there, but I understand. But then you hear the little chirps from 24/7 and On3 and all of these other media, social media, and recruiting people. And it's like, that's not as a lock as you think. And then you start looking up his last name. He has an uncle and a dad that played at Nebraska. Huge recruiting pitch. Huge.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna be a part of something new that your family damn near built. You know, come be a part of it, and it works. It worked. He committed there, and that is a big piece to what Nebraska's building. Man, they got him for 3 years, so they got a chance to continue to build on what they're doing, man. So I'm excited about what Matt Rule is doing there, and everywhere he's gone, he's left it better than he found it. So I expect it to be no different here. So I'm excited, bro. Let's see, man. We got Nebraska.
Oh, dude. I mean, you never know, man. It's a new Big 12. I know
Yeah,
they get Utah and stuff.
I
Like
can see
Nebraska
that.
they could definitely have a
I
part.
can
I don't
see
know if
that.
they would, but they
I can
definitely
see
would
that.
have a part to play.
I can
I
see
wish they
that.
were. I wish they were
I
back
wish
there, man.
they
I love
would.
them there.
I wish they would go back to the Big 12. I
I
wish
love
they would,
Nebraska there.
man. And I think he said Oregon's more talented than
Yeah.
well, I mean, yeah, we
Yeah.
ain't even got there yet. We ain't even got to them.
Yeah.
We ain't even got there yet. That's why we mentioned. That's why we said they ain't gonna get it. They probably ain't gonna get it this year either, man. So all right. So we take a break. Let's talk about the Trojans, man. I'll let you talk about them, man. I think they're in a good spot, but I'll let you divulge into them.
So USC is USC. Just like he alluded to earlier, they are one of the biggest national brands in college football, man. They can recruit anywhere they want in the country. Doesn't matter, north, south, east, west, Hawaii, Louisiana, New York City, Ohio, it doesn't matter. They can recruit anywhere. One thing we know about USC, Lincoln Riley, they can score points. They can always score points. My biggest concern, I mean, here's the biggest concern last year when we were talking about the last year in the Pac-12 is defense, man. Now, I feel like they have been making some effort on defense, but man, you better have your act together. Because I'm telling you, if you can't play defense this year, you are in trouble. I think they're
I
in a good
agree.
place. I think their quarterback is good. But, dude, I'm telling you, the Big Ten is loaded. If you play defense anything like you did last year with Caleb Williams playing, you are in trouble. Because there are a
Yeah,
lot of other
man.
good quarterbacks here. I feel like a lot of other teams got better on offense, especially. I feel like a lot of other teams in this conference got better. Not to mention the new teams that came in, especially a lot of the more established teams. Even if it's like a Penn State, they can score points too with the best of them. I mean, Drew Albert's not a pushover. Ohio State's got Will Howard. Like, there's a lot of really good teams here. I think USC's going to do what the USC does. I think they're not in a bad spot. They could find themselves in the mix for something. Do I think they're a playoff team? Probably not. I don't. Do I think they're in the mix to win some big games in this conference? Yeah. But their defense
Yeah,
has to make some leaps and strides because, dude, they play defense anything relatively close to what they've been doing, man. They're going to get them cheeks clapped more times than
man.
they want. And I don't want to see that because, I don't think Lincoln Riley's a bad coach, but when you don't invest as much in defense and you're putting so much effort into your offense, like, you're only going to get so far. Like, you're only going to be able to beat so many teams. And last year you struggled with one of the highest rated quarterbacks out of college in a while. Heisman winning quarterback, cannon for an arm, electrifying. What do you think is going to happen now when you come to an even more stacked conference when quarterback play is not going to be the exact same? There's going to be a drop off. Are you still talented on offense? Yes. But if you don't figure out your defense, bro, you're going to be in a bad spot. Do I think they're in a good spot? Yes, especially recruiting and money, NIL and all that. Very good. But in pertaining to being able to contain some of these other teams and win games, that's what I'm concerned about. Because if you were struggling last year to win games with Caleb Williams as your quarterback, if your defense plays anything like that this year, you're in trouble.
Nah, man, I agree, man. I agree. Defense is the key, man. I think they have to make some strides there. I thought losing Malachi Nelson to Boise State was one of those things that you can't have happen, man. Now, don't get me wrong. I think anybody could play in Lincoln Riley's offensive system and just thrive just fine, man. But I think having a difference maker at quarterback is the way you win, man. I think it's a part of winning. I think it's only a few teams that can just throw out Stetson Bennett or throw out Greg Malcolm. And I thought that Malachi Nelson was one of those next guys that could win maybe a Heisman. He was that talented. But now he's going to Boise State, and I think that makes them a group of 5 team to be in there because now they have a difference maker at quarterback. Think about those years that Boise State was winning those bowl games.
With
Those
Kellen
big bowl
Moore.
games. Kellen Moore, exactly. So
Woo,
Jared
that ball
Zabransky,
too.
even though people don't really know him, but he started with him, Jared Zabransky. So there you go, man. So I think they'll be all right, man. I think they're gonna score some points, and that's gonna steal them some wins. But I don't know about defense, man. I think it takes a while to build a culture on defense, and we'll see. We'll see. But let's get into this next team. We talked about them at the beginning with our first 2 stories that we talked about, man. Let's talk about the Ducks, man. Oregon, obviously one of the new Big Ten teams, comes in hot. I think they were the Pac-12 champions at last year. And then they ended up actually no, I lied. No, they weren't. They were the Fiesta Bowl champions because Washington won the division. So
Yes.
but I find them to be one of the best teams in college football. If I had a top 5 right now, they would be in my top 5, man, because they have defense, they have offense, man. They got a good coach that has some energy. I'm excited, man. I think Evan Stewart. I don't actually. Yes, they do have offense. Dylan Gabriel is their quarterback. So now you got Evan Stewart. I mentioned at the top they have Decorian Moore. Now that's going to be next year. But I expect him to have a quarterback that's going to help him a lot.
Dude,
So,
their backup is the guy from UCLA.
I forgot.
They're good at quarterback. I forget his name, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
they're good at quarterback. They're set.
So yeah. So I expect them to be in the running for the Big Ten championship, and I expect them to make a run for it. I think everybody thinks Michigan, Ohio State, man, but these new teams coming in, specifically Oregon and USC, are going to make things a lot difficult for those older Big Ten teams, man. I think if y'all watch wrestling, y'all know. Hey, get out of here! Get out! Get out of here! Get out of here, little boy. We're live. Things happen. Out, little boy. Anyway, time. Continue talking about Oregon.
I got you. So,
Right now.
Oregon, man, Oregon's in a really good spot, bro. Like, you're set at quarterback, you're set at the skill positions. They are killing in recruiting, man. Oregon just really good, man. Like, and then you get, like he said, you get Dylan Gabriel running that offense, dude. They got a bunch of really good guys in that roster. Honestly, like, yeah, you got the Michigans, the Ohio States teams like that, but I agree. I think Oregon is definitely a favorite to really get the tires running on that pavement this year. I really think Oregon's a real favorite to come out of the Big Ten. Like, I wholeheartedly think that they are a playoff team. They're gonna get them tied. They're gonna get that rubber burning, man. I definitely think they're my favorite. I haven't officially made my pick, but Oregon's definitely probably gonna be my pick to win the Big Ten, man. They're just loaded from top to bottom. Like you said, young, energetic head coach, ultra talented. They're gonna hit the ground running, bro. Like, there's not too many teams I think that's going to be able to get in their way. Like, I think they're going to stun a lot of people, and I don't know if Michigan and Ohio State are ready for what Oregon's going to bring to the table, especially offensively, but very deceptively good on defense too. So definitely be watching out for that.
I agree, man. I agree. Back live, things happen, right? Sneezes, things fall on your face, things happen, right? So anyway, but like you said, I do like Oregon. I do like them a lot. They have a lot of energy, and like I said, it's a big thing for them coming to the Big 10, man. They have so much brand opportunity, and I think it's just gonna be bigger, and it'll be interesting, man. But I think this is our first Twitter comment, man. So shout out,
Shout out.
X Twitter, whatever you want to call it. But Bryson Blue, man. I appreciate it, man. Look, I ain't mad at it. I mean, I thought that the games they had against Washington last year was rough. And I just think Washington had the better quarterback, man. That's all I think it was. Because Bo Nix was playing really good. And you can't go wrong with him. But Penix was just a little better. And I think you've seen that in the draft this year. One team felt the other one was a little better, So, but we'll see. I think this year is a little different. I think Dylan Gabriel gives you a chance to win, even though he's old as hell. But he still gives you a chance to win. He gives you a chance to win because he's going to take care of the football, and he can give you some run support too because he can run a little bit. But he's smart and he can definitely play. So I think Oregon has any chance to win just as much as Michigan and Ohio State, man. So
Definitely.
it'll be all right, man. I think it'll be all right, man. So let's get into this next team, man. We don't want to run that long, but we have to. We have to, man. But let's get into who's this? Get into Washington, man.
Oh, I got some.
All right. So obviously Washington, Pac-12 champions last year, made to the college football playoffs, won their semifinal, lost in the national championship game. Loses their coach to Alabama, and they're in rebuild mode. So, what you got on Washington, man?
So, I don't want to see them struggle like that. I think the one bright spot for them is the quarterback position. I think they have one of the best quarterbacks in the country running their offense, and that's Will Rogers. I thought he was going to end up leaving because he transferred to go play with DeBoer. DeBoer left, and then he jumped back in the portal. But I guess that's how you know what I'm investing. I really wanted to see him stay in the SEC because I wanted to see him compete against Texas, Oklahoma, teams like that. I think he's going to really I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to look back at their schedule. I don't want to see them struggle that much. I think they'll win more than 5. If they do, I'll probably say 6 tops. I don't think it's gonna be like a lot.
Yeah.
I think they can. I think they might be able to get bowl eligible. Like 6 games, I think is realistic. They lost a lot of talent though, man. They lost a lot of talent in the draft. They lost a lot of talent in their coaching staff. A lot of guys transferred out, especially to Alabama for obvious reasons. Their coach left. They wanted the opportunity to obviously still be able to compete at a high level, maybe national championship for the same coach they had last year. Washington's not in a very favorable spot here. I mean, you're going into a new conference, which is already a big jump, but you're going into a mega conference with the likes of Ohio State, Penn State. You still have to play Oregon. You get USC, UCLA, and you have a bunch of other really good conferences. I mean, other good teams in the conference. So I don't think it's going to be very smooth for them. I could still see them making it to a bowl game, but I don't see them really eclipsing 6 wins. I know he said 5. I say 6 is probably the max. Still not a terrible team, but they're definitely in rebuild mode to say the least.
Yeah, man. I don't think they're gonna win. I don't know, man. I think there's just I kind of believe Andrew here that I don't think they're gonna win more than 5 because of so much they lost, including Kalen DeBoer. That's a big loss because they tried this when Chris Peterson was there. Remember when Chris Peterson was there and then they got the defensive coordinator, and they thought, okay, well, we're just gonna keep it rolling, right? And then no, they lost like 11 games. It was horrible, bad, real bad. Didn't have an identity, nothing. So I personally,
For a little while.
for a little while, right? And then DeBoer started to rebuild it, right? But at the same time, they've tried this before. The next guy is never as good as the last guy in their case, right? It just always happens. It don't matter who it is. Somebody gets Washington going and they hire a new guy, and it's never the same. So there, and you couple the fact that they're coming to a new conference. Yeah, it's not necessarily.
It's gonna hurt them in recruiting, though.
Yes,
definitely gonna hurt them big time.
I agree, man. I agree. So, but got a little comment here. Let's see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they can be competitive. I think be competitive. I do think so, man. I think they can be competitive. I'm trying to find their new. Oh, okay. I'm trying to find who the new coach is. Okay. So it's Jed Fish. Jed Fish. I'm trying to remember where he was. Arizona. Yep. Yeah, there we go. Yep. So I think that changes things. I think Jed Fish is another guy that is a kind of a rebuild kind of guy. I think they'll be all right, man. I think he's had a string of jobs where he's been able to just build. I think if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking right now. His last job was Arizona, and that was it, right? But he took over as interim head coach of UCLA in like 2017. So he's got some wins there a little bit. So I think this is a project for him. And he rebuilt Arizona, in my opinion, the best way he could after Kevin Sumlin was there. And he ruined that. Including I think the two coaches before them was Rich Rod, who I'm actually happy for, who is getting Jacksonville State back to normal, rebuilding them. And then Kevin Sumlin, who I spoke of. They had them running into the ground. It was horrible. Arizona was not the place to play. But he got them pretty good, man. I think they were a couple games away from winning the Pac-12 last year, man. They lost a few games. But I think they'll be all right, man. But Washington is a perfect spot for him. It's a rebuild. He can just kind of throw that Kalen DeBoer thing away. It's over. Let's just rebuild it in his image. So I think it'll be all right, man. Like I said, I think it'll be all right. Like I said, I personally agree with you, Andrew.
Not the phone.
Like I agree with you, Andrew. That they might not win 5, but you never know. Like I said, new coach, new identity. Shoot, they could come out and play in a triple option, and they'll win probably 4 games just because of that. Because nobody know how to defend that. Ain't nobody playing the triple option no more. So you can win a couple games. Yeah, exactly, man. So, but let's get one more commercial break in there, man. Before we continue our thing, man. So, shout out to everybody watching. We appreciate it. We'll be right back.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12 plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
College Football Dogs, for the fans.
Yeah, man. Join the revolution. College football dogs taking back sports media one day at a time. And y'all can be a part of the journey just like us. So we move into the next team on our Big Ten breakdown, man. That is UCLA, man. So I'll get through this real quick. Not Boise State. They lost to Boise State. UCLA, actually, no, they won. Let me see that again. They won that game.
Yeah.
I thought they lost. My bad, because I turned it off. But UCLA, bless you.
Thank you.
UCLA has taken some changes, man. So I think out of all the teams that have joined the Big Ten, this might be the team that's not very good, man. I thought that gave them a chance, a puncher's chance at least, to get there because he can call plays better than anybody. He'll find the weakness. It's him, Sark, Lincoln Riley, Lane Kiffin, guy from Auburn. I know he knew his name.
Hugh Freeze.
Hugh Freeze, yep. Those 4 or 5 guys, man, they really know how to attack a defense, man. No matter what it is, you show one weakness. You can't stop the run. You can't stop running backs out the backfield. They'll run that all game until you stop it, man. And Chip Kelly is definitely one of those guys. So losing him definitely hurt. So I don't know how good they're gonna be. If I had a team that I would definitely say win less than 5 games, that would be the team. Because I don't know what they have. I don't know. They lose some guys to the draft, man. You lose your head coach. I think it's rough. It's going to be rough for them moving forward, man. So that's the team that I think is going to be rough, man. But like I said, it's still good to see them in the Big Ten, man. Next on the list of personal coach of mine, let's talk about Mike Locksley's Maryland Terrapins, man. So they win a bowl game against Auburn, which was really cool to see. Another great quarterback of mine that I know personally, well, not personally, but fanly. I know him fanly. Tulia Tagovailoa, Tua's little brother, set Big Ten records the last couple years with Maryland. Got them to respectable levels, man. I mean, they had some close games over the last couple of seasons against teams that we've talked about on this list, the Michigans, the Ohio States, man.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were missing some difference makers on defense. I thought that was the problem against these games. They couldn't close them out like they wanted to, man, but they could score. And that's Mike Locksley for you because he was a great offensive coordinator for us, man. Bama, which I'm saying us. And I really appreciated what he did at Bama, man, including some of the tragic losses that he had to deal with during his time there. Research it, I don't really want to get into it. But he definitely did some good work at Bama. And as you've seen, Maryland, they needed a breath of fresh air after that DJ Durkin debacle. And he's giving them that. And Maryland's respectable. They're a respectable team. They have, like I said, his offensive genius is going to keep them in contention, man. Don't really think they're in contention for winning the division or conference or whatever, but I do know that they're going to be a headache for teams because they have a lot of recruits in that DMV area, so they can snag anybody they want. You know, want to stay home with your mom, your family, have them come to the games. Those are the type of players that they can win. You know, they got a great recruiting base. So, and I don't think he's in Mike Locksley's in any harm as far as losing his job or whatever. He's won, I think, 8 games consistently over the last 3 or 4 seasons. So I think he's good, man. I think he's really good. I think Maryland's going to be okay next season. I don't think they're going to be bad. And I think they'll probably be in the 8 wins. I think offensively they can steal some games from Oregon. I think they can steal some games from Ohio State and Michigan. I think they can steal and Penn State because they always lose one game they're not supposed to. And I think they can steal a game from those teams, man. Because offensively, I think they're pretty good. Like I said, don't know their roster like that, but I do know Mike Locksley can win any way he wants to win. So, but we'll see, man. But I want to get your thoughts on this next team, man, as we, not speed through these teams, but get through it because it's a lot of teams that we have some questions about. Let's talk about Wisconsin, man. Luka Fickle is the head coach there. Defense has never been an issue for Wisconsin, man. Defense and running the ball. And I think defensively they'll be good. What you think about Wisconsin, man?
I like Luke Fickle and what he's doing there. I was surprised their offense didn't win them more games last year. Having a really prolific passer as your quarterback in Mordecai, I was very surprised at that. Defensively, I want to say I know they're going to be pretty good. I want to say they got a guy at quarterback. I forget his name. I think he's probably pretty good as well. Wisconsin's always one of those dark horse teams, man. They're always ultra talented. It's hard to win games in Wisconsin to start with. It's a really underrated stadium to win games in. They're really fit. They're physical. And Luke Fickle's an offensive genius. He knows how to score points. He knows how to get his offense down the field, put people in the right positions to be able to go down the field and score points. And they can run the ball, dude. They always recruit really good on defense. They always recruit really good at running back. He's going to do really good at getting skill position guys, especially to help the offense score. I think Wisconsin's in a good place, man. I think that's a team that nobody's really talking about. I think he's going to take a step forward. They won 7 games last year. I would not be surprised that they're in the 8 to 9 wins this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think they lost to your LSU Tigers in the bowl game. So, but it didn't. Let me see.
No, I think we played Purdue.
No, that's y'all. Yeah, that's y'all.
Yeah. Oh, I got confused. Yeah, we beat. Yeah.
It
was a shootout, but
Yeah, it was a good game. Really good game. So, but yeah, man, I think they'll be all right. I like Luke Fickle. I like the way he calls defenses. He has Cincinnati rolling, getting to the college football playoff, man. So anybody that can do that from Cincinnati, hey, I'm good, man. Really good, man. And he's an Ohio guy because he played at Ohio State and coached at Ohio State, and now he's going to beat them. So we'll see. I don't know, but they always their biggest thing is like Arkansas, like we spoke about last week. If they can run the ball, Wisconsin's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
No matter all that passing stuff is cool. Wisconsin got one way to beat you, and that's to running the ball,
controlling the line of scrimmage and running down their throats.
Yep, man. So, but let's get into this next team, man. Let's get into the Northwestern Wildcats, man.
Hey, bro, big surprise team last year.
Big surprise
Nobody
team,
seen
man.
that coming at all.
At all, right? Because you remember we covered this when we first started our podcast, man. Pat Fitzgerald was fired.
Yep.
In like a couple
Within
weeks
a
before.
month
A couple weeks before the season started. Nobody does that.
Nobody does that.
Nobody does that. You at least wait till the end of the season. All right, then we're gonna part ways, right? But they fired him at the beginning of the season. When you trying to get recruits in there, you trying to knock down the game plan for your first game of the year. You probably still got training camp going on. I mean, that was crazy. But you know what? They harnessed all of that and won 8 games last year. Now,
much respect.
Much respect because that's a tough spot to walk into. Don't know how they're gonna play this year, man. But they're one of those teams like Iowa. They can be really good, they can be middle of the pack, or they can be really bad, man. So we'll see. I think they got a new stadium now. I'm not sure if they built it or just dropped the development plans, but I do know they'll be playing in a new stadium soon. So that should be interesting. Gets the fan base excited. So I think they'll be all right. Not sure how good they're going to be. I think they would be under like a team like Maryland or whatever. But I do think they should be all right, man. Now, this next team I want to get into. I know we're going fast, and if you're a Northwestern fan, I apologize, but I don't know if y'all can be that good. But this is the one I want to talk about. One of my favorite coaches in college football today. Let's talk about Minnesota and row the boat PJ Fleck, man. One of my favorite coaches, man. I loved when he went to the bald head. It was awesome, man. One of my favorite coaches. I love his energy, man. I loved when he took the job here. Minnesota's been one of those teams that's been a thorn in people's side. They haven't won a lot, but they've always been tough with the top teams. And they play tough, they play hard. Like I said, the influx of these invasion people, these invasion teams is gonna make it harder, that much harder to win. But Minnesota's in a good spot, man. I think they can still win some games. I don't necessarily think they are in contention to win the title, but they should win about 7. PJ Flex, one of those people that can figure it out, man. So, but as we get into our next team, our next team, this is interesting. This is 07, college football 07, bro. Let's get into Rutgers, baby. Let's get into Rutgers, man. Okay, I want to get your thoughts on Rutgers, man. I went through the last couple ones, man, but I want to get your thoughts on it. Specifically, the job that Greg Schiano is doing there. Again.
Yeah, it's very underrated what he's doing there. Nobody really talks about it, but he's consistent, man. He's kept Rutgers relevant. Dude, they're in a conference. Like, I remember when they joined the Big Ten, I'm like, man, like, ooh, I don't know, bro.
He's been bad too, haven't
But they're not. But Rutgers is like very deceptively respectable. They're not a horrible team. Like, he's been around for such a long time, and he garners a lot of respect. He knows what he's doing, and he's kept them relevant, man. 7 wins last year is not bad for them, and I could see them still somewhere in that same 7, maybe 8 tops. But he's still gonna keep them respectable, man. I think they're another team who gets. Just like Minnesota, they get players drafted. Like, nobody talks about that, but I'm always seeing guys from Minnesota and Rutgers, like, in the draft. Like, I don't know if people are talking about that, but he's getting guys drafted. I think they're going to be a decent team, and they could be another one of those teams I feel like that could be the thorn in some of these team sides for sure.
Yeah, man, I agree, man. I think Greg Schiano to leave Rutgers like back in the day when he did, he had Rutgers in a respectable position. And then he took the Tampa Bay job, and Tampa Bay was okay. NFL team, the Buccaneers. They were okay. They weren't terrible, but I thought his militaristic attitude was rubbing the players the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, I think sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need a little structure. If you're out here partying and everything, we lose a game because you ain't paying attention, then hey, maybe you need a little structure. I think that was the issue, man. But nonetheless, he comes back to his home that he really started to build up again in Rutgers, and you see it's effort, man. It's an effort thing at Rutgers, man. One thing they play tough, and they will play to the last whistle, and probably after that, because that's how Greg Schiano is, man. So I really appreciate and respect how he really goes about his business. So I ain't got nothing to say. I think they'll win like 7 games, and they'll be all right, man. Like I said, they might steal a couple games as well, because effort translates. If you show effort, you can win a lot of games, man. So let's get into this next team, man. Purdue. Purdue is a basketball school, not really a football school, except for when Drew Brees was there. They won a Big Ten championship.
They got a good offensive coordinator, bro. You know who their offensive coordinator is?
Who?
None other than Graham Harrell, one of the best passes in college football history. Who's definitely looking to get him a job here pretty soon. He's not a
I
bad
mean,
offensive coordinator.
he's had a couple offenses that's been really good. He
Mhm.
was at USC for a minute. I think he might have been at Texas Tech after a little while.
Yeah,
As
that's one of
far as
my
like
favorite players of all time. I love
yeah,
me some Graham Harrell.
yeah. So I mean, if he can fix Purdue and they win more than 4 games, yeah,
Oh yeah, he
I
gonna get a
think he'll
gig.
probably be one of those guys getting a head coaching job, man. So I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be all right. I like him there, but Purdue is one of
That's
those
a hard
schools.
place to win.
Yeah, buddy, it is. It is a hard place to win, except for basketball. That's pretty good. They
Yeah.
really win
On the
there.
football field, though, man, you have to work that much hard. It's another place like Rutgers where the recruiting isn't horrible, but it's hard to get a 4-star guy there. It's almost impossible to get a 5-star guy there. Like you have to. It's all about effort. Like talent can win you games more likely than not, but to win it, Purdue, you have to have you guys instilled to want to work that much harder and just want to outwork the other team. They may be way outmatched, but if you can beat them in effort, yeah, you got a chance to win 4, 5, maybe 6 games. Like, hopefully they'll be a little better off than what they did last year, 4-8.
Yeah, I agree, man. So I think it'd be all right, man. Let's get into one of my favorites as we get closer to the end of the show, man. Let's get into one of my other favorite coaches. I got a couple coaches that I really, really like, man. Really like, and this is one of them, man. Let's talk about Illinois and one of my favorite coaches, Brett Bielema. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Brett Bielema is one of my favorite coaches, man. I thought Arkansas did him dirty, man. I thinking like, bro, y'all not gonna win much. Why would you fire him and he got y'all relevant again? You know. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that I find really interesting, man. But we'll see, man. I like Illinois. I think they run the ball really good. They had a
Mm-hmm.
really good running back a couple years ago, like number 2 or something like that. He was really good. And I like I said, Brett Bielema is all about the line of scrimmage, and I think they'll keep building that. But this is gonna be a tough conference, man. Either way you slice it, man. And the teams that was like 4 wins, 5 wins will probably be in the same spot, unless they really, better themselves up front. That's how they're gonna win more games in this division, man. So, but I'll see. We'll see. I don't really know, but I'm rooting for Brett Bielema. Uh oh, God damn. He back. 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 Like I said, we live, man. Stuff happens, man. But like I said, Brett Bielema, I'm rooting for him, man. So let's get into the second to last team. Let's talk about Indiana, man.
Oh man.
3-9 last season, man. Rough. They're a spread team, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So they need a quarterback to sling that thing around, man. That's what they need. They just need to go on and play wide open because it's hard to win there, man. You're fighting against Notre Dame. You're fighting against Ohio State to get recruits. You're fighting against Michigan. You're fighting against
You're
Michigan
fighting against
State.
anybody. It's an uphill battle.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it's another basketball school.
Yeah.
So you might get a basketball player that want to play,
Yeah.
receiver or something, and you just let them go out there and play, man. So I think they'll probably be in the same position.
This is the same team that recruited Penix, though, man. So I mean, anything's possible. I mean,
I agree. I agree. Anything is possible, man. Anything is possible. But
I don't see their ceiling being anything really higher than where they. I see them probably relatively in the same boat, though. Unfortunately.
yeah, me too, man. Me too, man. But let's get into this last team, man. I want to get your thoughts on this team, man. I think it's our last team. Correct me if I'm wrong, man. But this team is interesting. Interesting, man. Let's talk about Michigan State, man.
Mm-hmm.
So Michigan State had some turbulent stuff happen with Mel Tucker was fired like 3 games into the season. Like I said, we won't get into the details. Just know he wasn't fired. He was fired for cause my personal beliefs won't be on this show, but it happened, and they lost a lot of games. New coach in there. I believe the coach from Oregon State went there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's a new thing, new era. They had a nice run with Mel Tucker, man. They had that one really good season that got him paid. And then it just, fell down, right? And then obviously he loses his job. And Mike D'Antonio, the coach before him, has to come in and coach some games as well. So, but hey, I'm not mad at it because you remember at Wisconsin when Barry Alvarez said, "Oh, you want to leave?
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll just coach the team. I did it before
And won the game, bro.
and won the bowl game. Yes, I remember that. I was
Shout
like,
out to Barry
yo,
Alvarez.
man, bro, that
Shout
was
out
some
to Barry
cold.
Alvarez.
Bro, that was cold. I like that. He's like, man, look, give me the headset. Fine, I'll do it.
Let the OG handle it.
Yeah, man, straight athletic director, bro. The
Let me put
athletic
my coaching cap back on real
director.
quick. Let me show you a little something.
The coldest thing I've ever seen, man. But nonetheless, man, I've followed this Michigan State scenario just a little bit. So obviously, the Oregon State coach goes there, right? I think that's a really good move. You can rebuild the culture your way. Oregon State was actually one game away from winning the Pac-12. Had they beat Washington, they would have won the Pac-12, I believe. I think that game they lost to them just moved them down just further enough that Washington was just gonna win, but they lost DJU, Oregon State did, so that was kind of a rough situation for them. But we'll get into that when we get into the ACC, which should be really, really fun. But they picked up Oregon State transfer quarterback Aiden Childs. I think he was a 4 or 5-star, depending on what platform you use. So he played sparingly last year, but was really, really good. I like the fact that he has a live arm. I do like his height. I think he's like 6'2". So height's not a problem. And he's still young. He's got like 3 years left of eligibility. Maybe even 4, because I don't think he played in many games. So, but he's got some eligibility there, and I think they can start over just like Nebraska is with Dylan Raiola, man. So, what you think about Michigan State, man? Do you think that they can sort of fix it? Because I mean, they've had some really good history as a football program.
Yeah, I think I like the head coach. I don't know how many other people I thought it. I thought that was a really good fit for him. I didn't see that as a downgrade. I kind of thought it as like just a straight beeline over. It wasn't a better job, like historically wise, better job, but not a terrible situation you're walking into because Mel Tucker did do really good in recruiting. He had established a pretty good culture before, so he didn't walk into a very bad situation. They won 4 games last year. I wouldn't be surprised if he has Michigan State in a 5-6 game win. They might sneak into a bowl game, which would be a huge win for them. I don't think Michigan State's a bad team. I don't think the coach made a bad decision at all. I'm glad he got that quarterback with him, though. I think it's going to really help him out. And I could definitely see Michigan State being a thorn in a bunch of teams behind. I could see them stealing recruits. I mean, like, I'm not saying they are a dark horse to win the conference by any means. No. But I think he's a really good coach to really get that team back where they need to be, reestablish a really good winning culture. And Michigan State's going to be good again in a couple seasons, man. I think they'll be a competitive team. 5-6 game wins. I think Michigan State's going to be good, man. I really look forward to seeing what he does going forward because he did a really good job at Oregon State turning them around.
Yeah, man, I agree, man. I think they'll be all right, man. I think they'll be all right. They just got to rebuild a little bit, man. That's all, man. But that's our Big Ten breakdown. I think we got everybody. I don't think.
Oh, we didn't pick who we wanted to win, huh?
Oh, we didn't. All right, so let's do that. Let's do that, man. So we can just say conference championship winner. We say Big Ten winner. Yeah. Big Ten winner. Yeah. Yeah. Big Ten winner, man. That's what we call this segment, man. It's usually the closing argument segment, but we can still call it that, man. But we'll be talking about the winner of the Big Ten, man. So I'll let you go first, man. Go ahead. Let me hear
So
what you got.
most people are gonna go Michigan here. I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm not picking Michigan here. I could go Ohio State with Chip Kelly running that high-powered offense. It's a really
Oh,
good
that's
pick.
where he went. Okay.
Yep, he's the off, and that's a really good point. And I just remember that a few
Hey,
minutes ago when we
Michigan.
were talking.
Hey, Michigan about to get ran out of the water, bro. It's over with. It's
but
over with, dude.
I'm gonna go out on a limb, man. This kind of thing doesn't happen often. Like I said, Ohio State's a power. I'm going to Oregon, man. First year in the conference, I think they got a lot to prove. I think they play really high-paced, high-scoring offense. I think the defense is really good. I don't think it's going to be my much. I probably would say it'd be Ohio State, Oregon in the championship game. But I'm going to go Oregon, man. I think Dylan Gabriel is just that good. And I think Oregon is deceptively good.
Yeah.
They have done so good in the offseason. Dan Lanning has really built something up. Well, Oregon, this is a flawless transition from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, man. I think Oregon's really good. I'm high on them. You can't go wrong with Ohio State, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I've got Oregon winning the Big Ten first year in the conference.
All right. Let's see. I'll do the Big Ten championship game. I think the Big Ten championship game is probably going to be. I think they got rid of divisions, right?
I'm
So
pretty sure.
this might be the first time that you see Ohio State and Michigan in the championship game, and I think Michigan wins the Big House, right? I think they win 4 straight, but I think Ohio State gets that get back in the championship game. I think Ohio State win it, man. I think you got Judkins, which is a running back that they haven't had in a long time. Really dominant back, man. I felt like
since Zeke.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, since Zeke. And I think they need a guy like that. I think he was running them zone schemes, and I think they run kind of a similar set where they don't just go downhill; they create lanes. And I think he's a quick one cut running back, and I think he's ready to show what he can do. This is would be a contract year for him. If you want to go in that first 3 rounds, this is the year he needs to show what he can do. So I think he'll be a good addition. Defensively, like I said, they have a lot of good players, man. Don't really know a lot of them, but I know Ohio State got studs, and they got to play better. Quarterback is I don't say a question mark, but you got to make the big time throws because McCord wasn't bad. He just didn't make the wow, you know. Think about all the players that they've had that made the wild plays. I can go all the way back to Troy Smith. They all made wild plays. Troy Smith, Terrell Pryor,
Braxton Miller.
Bryson Miller, you know what I'm saying? Dwayne Haskins,
Justin Fields,
JT Barrett, I mean.
Yep.
Then you got who was the last guy?
Justin
Fields. They all made the wild plays, man. And McCord didn't do that. So I gotta see if Will Howard can make the wild plays, man. If he can make the wild plays, then I think they'll be all right, man. So but that's pretty much it, man. I think Ohio State and you got Oregon winning it. So we'll see. We'll see, man. But this is the Football Frame of Mind podcast, man. Been a great show, man. Tune in next week for the ACC, man. We're excited, man. This is a really cool time. Football is back, and we're excited, man. But before we get up out of here, man, anything you gotta say?
Yeah. So shout out to College Football Dogs, man. If you guys want to check out our live shows, man, Dogs TV every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern time, man, you will catch us on here. And in case there are any other crazy things during the season, maybe we could squeeze some in during the week. But definitely, if you want to catch us live every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern time on Dogs TV, check us out, man. Shout out to College Football Dogs for this awesome opportunity, man. If you guys didn't know, they just signed that big deal with the Maxwell Football Club. big deal, man, with the Maxwell Award, with the, I want to say the Nagurski, I want to say the Bolitnikov, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of big things happening. Probably have a bunch of really cool people on eventually, man. But a lot of big cool things happening, man. And none of this would be possible without the man upstairs giving us these opportunities, man. And for all of you guys for being so supportive. Thank you guys for the ones who gave all the great feedback and engagement today. Y'all are freaking awesome. We love that. We love to get you guys' perspectives because it creates really good discussions and it keeps things interesting. So thank you guys for that. If you guys are checking out on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. Don't forget to hit the bell notification so you never miss a beat. Check us out on Twitter, X, Twitch. We're doing Twitch. College Football 25 drops next week. We have early access, so we will be doing this as of July 16th. So definitely check us out on Twitch, man. A lot of online head-to-heads. We're talking about doing a online dynasty possibly with subscribers, possibly a fantasy football league with subscribers. So definitely check us out there, man. But for anybody who's been with us, man, through thick and thin, thank you guys so much for all the constant support. And for the people just signing up, man, you are signing up at an awesome time for us. We got a lot of cool stuff coming, man. Like I said, College Football Dogs has really got us in a really good place. Definitely check us out, bro. Football season's right around the corner. And don't forget, like he said, ACC Day next week, Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be here. You be there. And let's have a good time.
Couldn't say it better myself, man. Y'all like the shirt?
Check
Y'all
out the
like
store.
shirt? Check out the store, man. Football Frame of Mind. It's our old logo, but we'll call it a throwback. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So check it out, man. We're excited, man. This journey is awesome, man. But I'm Cam. That is Brandon. This is the Football Frame of Mind podcast. Signing off, man.
Peace.
Peace.